Estate Reality Show with EJ Hawkins and Cortez M. Johnson. Only on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome to the all-new Real Estate Reality Show. I'm your host, EJ Hawkins, and my co-host, Cortez Johnson. How's it going, Mr. Johnson?
Good. And yourself, Mr. EJ Hawkins?
I'm doing all right. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was the same old thing over again.
Groundhog's Day?
Groundhog's Day, gymnastics, dealing with the kids.
Dealing with the kids. I myself, what did I do?
What'd you do?
I went to a wedding.
Where's the wedding at?
Yorba Linda.
Oh, wow. Orange
Yes,
County.
Orange County.
Did the people show up?
They showed up.
Okay.
It was my cousin. I didn't believe he was going to show up. That's one thing that tripped me out. He showed up and showed out, got married. He was the last of the Mohicans. So he went ahead and jumped the broom, but it was cool. So
Now, is this the cousin from Vegas?
no, this is the one we went to college together.
Okay, so this person, the Vegas people didn't show up.
Right.
Vegas wedding, they didn't show up.
Right, that one didn't show up. This was another one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just replaced one wedding with another one. That was all I did. So
Right. So, EJ, tell the people who you are.
Oh man. Well, who am I? I'm EJ Hawkins. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. No, just kidding. But I would consider myself like an avid real estate aficionado. I mean, anything encompassing real estate in terms of anything, I'm all for it. But my day job is I'm a realtor.
Right.
I'm not gonna quit my day job. But at the end of the day, I am entrenched in the real estate world. So this is what I do. This is what I love. It's not a job. It's just it's
Right.
my first love.
Right. You never work a day in your life.
Never.
Not work.
No, not at all. So we work on Sundays too.
Right. This is not work. This is fun.
This is fun. Yeah, I love it. So I know last week we've had a past couple of good weeks. So I know last week we talked about what was it, jumbos,
Conventional and jumbo
loans. So over the past couple of weeks, kind of a recap. We talked about what docs were needed, DU approval, tips on a successful transaction. FHA, VA, conventional, and jumbo.
Correct.
Right. So, what else was there? Was there anything else you wanted to add to that, Mr. Johnson?
No. That is a lot.
So, I know we didn't touch on this last week, but in terms of having the least stressful transaction,
Right?
Because little do you know that for the actual person buying or selling the property, it can be a stressful transaction.
Right. So for the buyer, with all the rules from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and VA,
Right.
the buyers always says why. A lot of the rules are not known to the common man.
Right.
And it can get frustrating to the common man of why did this, why that.
Right.
So what I've done, I've wrote a list of tips for a successful and less stressful process.
Please do share with us, Mr. Johnson.
So the number one, so I have about 19 tips, and these are tips that have all happened to me, literally
happened.
Literally.
So these are real life scenarios.
These are real life scenarios, and everybody's scenario is different, right? So I hardly ever do a loan where it's just no problems.
Those don't exist.
Right. That is, unless the person is really,
Right.
1,000% on their game.
I've had transactions that were so, drama free that I didn't even realize when it closed. I said, "Oh, it
Right.
closed already?"
Right. well, you were lucky.
Right.
Right. So there are people out there that have those specific profiles that are squeaky clean.
Right. But for the most part, I can attest to that. That does not happen all the time.
Right. So I want to share with you the number one.
Okay.
With tips for a successful and less stressful process when you're buying a house.
Got it.
This is for buyers.
Got it.
Number one, any non-payroll deposits on your bank statement must be paper trailed.
Got it. So on my side job that I have,
Right.
It's a cash-based business.
Oh, right.
So just kidding. But if someone had, let's say they were a barber or they had like a landscaping company and they receive, cash receipts, they would have to show the paper trail on those deposits, right?
I'm glad you mentioned the cash.
Got it.
Cash cannot be used
Got it.
in the process of the mortgage lending business.
So what do you suggest for the people who are in those type, like a barber? What do they do?
So we have to use their tax returns and show proof of. See, it's kind of difficult with a barber because they do receive cash.
Right.
So if they deposit cash, where did this cash come from? This is because of the Patriot Act.
Right.
And the Frank Dodd regulations.
Right.
So all deposits must be paper trailed and sourced.
Got it.
So you just can't deposit $10,000 in your account. Oh, I got $10,000. I'm going to use this to buy my house. It doesn't work like that. So any non-payroll deposits, non-payroll, it could be a check from your IRS refund, a check from your mom, a check from somebody owed you money. It must be paper trailed and sourced. Copy of where did this money come from?
I'm glad you mentioned for somebody who owes you money, so I can please make sure if you do owe me money, please pay me with a cashier's check.
Yes.
I cannot accept cash.
No. No.
Although my loan was in cash, I will accept it in a cashier's check. Thank you.
Exactly.
So.
Now, number 2, do not max out your credit cards.
Oh, wow. I'm sure that happens all the time.
I mean, you're buying a house.
Right.
Don't use your credit. Don't apply for new credit.
Got it.
Don't max out. And plus, when you max out your credit cards, that can lower your credit score.
Got it. Because it drops your debt to income ratio, right?
Right. So, number 3, do not apply for new credit cards because the banks, the lenders, they have a credit monitoring system, and if you apply for new credit, they're going to want to know, did you get new credit? Give us a statement. Write a letter. It's just a hassle. So
Right.
when you're in the process of buying a home, don't apply for new credit. Number 4, do not miss any creditor payments.
That should be, of the utmost importance.
Right now, this should be common sense.
Right.
But do not get any 30-day lates with your credit cards, car payments, student loans. That'll drop your credit score.
Got it.
Number 5, this is a common one. Do not buy a car or furniture on credit when you're looking for a home.
Now, we had a client that they were attempting to do that, but they called you to verify,
Yes,
right?
yes. So you cannot go buy a car or, like I had a recent client where they were so happy, oh, we're going to buy a house. And it was the 4th of July. You know how the advertising tricks everybody. Oh, come buy this furniture. It's 4th of July sale.
Right.
So everybody falls into that.
The going out of business sale. that they
Right,
always have.
right. So I had a client, oh, can we go buy some furniture at the 4th of July sale? I said, no. Don't. Do not go apply for new credit at your furniture store to get new furniture for your house that we have not closed on yet.
Got it.
Right. This is a big one. Number 6. This is a big one. Do not co-sign for somebody else's car loan.
Got it. Now, that's not common sense to most people.
That's not common sense. So what people don't know, people will say, oh, it's not my car.
Right.
Yes, it is. Right. According to the lender,
Right.
It's your car. So ironically, I have a transaction right now where the boyfriend bought the girlfriend a car. And basically I said, hey, a year ago, I said, don't do it. Right.
So he bought her a car, but she co-signed on the car?
No, he bought her a car
Okay.
in his name.
Okay.
Right. So now a year later, after I told him don't do it, this car is affecting our transaction.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because that debt is going into the debt to income ratio, even though he's not driving the car. Now, there is a loophole that if he can prove 12 months payments, that we can omit that creditor from the debt to income ratio,
Got it.
but it's only been 8 months.
Oh, wow.
So this car payment is in the debt to income ratio that's hurting our deal.
Got it.
This may come to a surprise to you.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 7. Now, this is all tips on what not to do when buying a home.
All right. Now, number 7 and 8, these should be lumped together.
Number 7. That's a good point. Number 7. Do not quit your job.
What?
Yes.
Quit your job while while you're in the process of buying a home.
Believe it or not, this has happened to me. Let me tell you.
Now, that should be common sense.
Let me tell you. I had a client, which was a friend from good old Cal State Northridge.
All right. Those Cal State Northridge Matadors.
Yes. And basically, the wife said, Cortez, I hate my job. Can I quit my job? I said, not yet. I said, don't quit your job.
Oh, so she asked you before she
She
did it.
asked me.
Okay,
She
that
knew.
was good. She didn't go in there
She
throwing pie in her boss's face
No.
and then leaving out, right?
she literally asked me about quitting her job. I said, you know what? We have an approval. We're getting loan docs, but do not quit your job. Wait and then look for another job. Then quit your job, right?
Got it.
Let me tell you what happened. This young lady, literally, we got the loan approval. Okay, we're clear for loan docs, final loan docs. She quit her job. Now, I didn't know. So my loan processor, Shelly, said, Cortez, the lender is trying to do a VOE, verification of employment, and it's not going through. I said, why? I said, why, right? The bottom line is that my lender was calling that job, and the job was saying, oh, she's not employed here. And I didn't know, right? But I knew she didn't like her job. But the bottom line is you cannot quit your job in the middle of escrow.
How are you going to quit anyway when you're buying a house?
She was real confident to find a new job,
Oh, really?
which she did.
Okay.
She found a job less than a month, like where her new house was.
Right.
But don't quit your job in the middle of escrow.
Okay. And the next one is don't get fired from your job.
Please don't get fired.
Especially not on your day off. Don't get fired on your day
Right,
off.
right. So that, don't get fired. Number 9. Now, this is a good one. I had a self-employed person, and self-employed people like to, how can I say this, not pay taxes.
Oh, yes. We don't.
Right. you make $200,000. Oh, I made $50,000.
Right.
Well, that's going to hurt you when buying a home. But I had a situation where I learned something new. Do not amend your taxes near the time of your loan application. So you filed your taxes a certain way.
Right.
Cortez tells you, oh, your gross income is only $28,000. Oh, let me change it. And they change it. And my lender, which is a nationwide lender, they said, oh, you cannot amend your taxes around the same time as your loan app because you're just doing that to get the loan.
Oh, so they were already hip to the game.
Oh, yeah.
They were hip.
Yeah, but that was my first time coming across somebody doing that. So number 10, you cannot use cash from home for your down payment. Cash cannot be used. We cannot use mattress money.
Oh,
Cash cannot be deposited into your bank account.
I got to put that mattress money up, man.
Yeah, just keep it to yourself.
Gosh.
Number 11, do not have any creditors in collection and dispute on your credit report. So people don't know about this one. Like everyone is trying to fix their credit, get their credit right, and they do a dispute. But if you have Best Buy in dispute, you can't have it in dispute status in your credit report.
So if it is in dispute, you'd have to contact the creditor and try to end the dispute.
Right. And guess what happens sometimes when you have an account in dispute?
What?
That creditor is not calculated in the credit score.
Oh, really?
Yes. I found that out the hard way.
Oh, wow.
So if you have an account that's in dispute, that bad trade line is not in your credit score. And when you take it out of dispute, it's possible that your credit score will go down.
Got it.
Number 12, do not have any creditors in collection on your credit report. Number 13, if you have student loans and they are in forbearance or deferment, we must show 12 months that it'll be deferred from the time you get your new loan. So a lot of people have student loans, right? So in order with FHA,
Right.
in order to not count that student loan, the student loan must be deferred for 12 months.
Got you.
It must be deferred for 12 months.
Okay.
Not 1 month, not 6 months.
Complete 12 months.
A complete, you must if otherwise it will be counted in your debt to income ratio. Now, conventional is counted anyway.
Right.
Okay. Number 14, if you are getting an FHA loan and you are married, we must run your spouse's credit report. Your spouse's debt will be counted in the FHA transaction.
But if it's conventional, that's not the case.
Correct. But in the state of California, if you're legally married, whether you're separated, you're in the process of a divorce, that spouse must sign off in the state of California if you're still legally married.
Right.
Right? But basically, I get a lot of people that want to do this transaction on their own. I'm married, but I want to do it by myself. Well, guess what? You're married legally in the state of California. If you're doing an FHA loan, we must count your debts of your spouse with your debts to qualify.
But you cannot use that spouse's income, though, right?
Well, you can,
Oh, you can.
but for some reason, people don't want to use their spouse for some reason. I don't know.
Right.
like they want to do it by themselves.
Right.
But if you're married, guess what? You must include those debts.
So now you're including the debts, but what about, let's just say their spouse has a not a great credit score.
Oh, good question. We don't count the credit score.
Just the debts.
Just the debts.
Got it.
Right? So now this is one that we had with a client.
Oh, yes.
Me and you.
Yes.
Number 15. I wrote 15 because of you.
Oh, thank you.
Number 15. You cannot purchase a home 100 miles from your job.
And it was about 100 miles from his job.
The underwriter will not believe that you will live there.
That was not happening. He was going to have to fly a prop plane or a helicopter
Right.
to get to home and work.
Right. So just to repeat for the listeners, you cannot purchase a home 100 miles from your job.
No.
The underwriter will not believe you.
So you cannot live in Santa Monica and purchase a home in Palm Springs
No.
unless it's a second home.
Right.
Right.
The underwriter will say, why
Child,
would,
please.
They'll say, child, please.
Yes.
Right. So number 16. Oh, this is a good one. Your federal tax returns must be current, meaning filed.
Right.
You cannot, I didn't do my tax return since 2005.
What if you filed up until the previous year, but you filed for an extension?
That's okay.
That's okay.
But as long as you have your check of your estimated taxes.
What do you mean, check?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. So I found that out. I found that out the hard way as well.
Okay.
People file for an extension, but they don't realize that on the extension,
You have to mail in a payment.
yes, what do you think your taxes will be that you owe?
$5.
$5. Mail in the $5.
Right.
Right? So people don't know, oh, I filed an extension. No, you have to file an extension plus your estimated what you think you owe
Right.
the IRS. Number 17, These are tips on how to have a successful and less stressful process. Number 17, if you have a second job, you must be employed for 2 years
Minimum of 2 years.
for that income to count.
Okay.
Okay. Number 18. Oh, this is a good one. This is what a lot of loan officers call a deal killer.
Really?
Number 18. A lot of people don't know this, but on their tax returns, their tax preparer, CPA, puts these write-offs on their taxes. 2106 expenses. So, for an example, you make $100,000, but you have $30,000 in 2106 expenses.
Right.
Guess what? We will qualify you on the 70,000.
The difference between the 30 and the 100.
Right. Now, people don't realize. So, now a lot of people don't know that they have these expenses because they have the tax man over here on the corner. Oh, I'm going to get you a big refund. All they're doing is saying you have a business, you have a cell phone and office space and this and that.
Right.
All these expenses. But people don't know. I had a client that had his tax preparer put a photography business on his tax returns, and he's not a photographer.
Oh, that is fraud.
Right, that's fraud, right?
The IRS will come a knocking.
They will come knocking. But see, this guy was lucky that didn't happen yet, right? Now, I do have a program, though, for people who don't own a home. We could just use their W-2s and not their taxes.
Really?
Yes.
But you cannot own a home.
But you can, good question. You cannot own a home, right? So if you do have these expenses, you make $100,000, but you wrote off 30, and you only pay taxes on 70. I have a program. If your W-2 says 100, we can use that W-2.
But it's essentially what you're saying is you're going to use the adjusted gross income,
Right.
which is your income deduct minus your expenses.
That you pay taxes on. But I
Right.
do have a program where we can use your W-2s only
Okay.
for people who do not own a home.
Got it.
Okay. So number 18. Oh, number 19.
What were you doing? 18A and 18B? That's true.
No, just 19.
Number 19. Number 19. I feel like we're doing the count. The what is that? The Tonight Show countdown with Dave Letterman.
Exactly.
Right.
I miss them. So number 19, the tax returns that you give us must match the IRS.
Right.
Now, you might think that's normal.
Oh no, I know. Look, hey, I own a tax preparation
Right.
company, so I know the game.
Let me tell you, I have people that give me these tax returns,
Right.
but the IRS has something else.
Right. Said, man, you made $2 last year.
Right. So basically, the solution to that, people want to argue me down. Oh, these are my taxes.
Well, file them.
Well, they did file them, but they made some type of adjustment,
An amendment.
an amendment. They forgot, and they swore up and down, oh, these are my taxes. So the solution is go to the IRS office. There's one in Long Beach. There's one in downtown LA.
Bring a lunch and a brunch with you because you will be down there for a long time.
Yes, and you will get a copy of what was really filed with the IRS.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So those are the 19 tips of successful and less stressful process.
that was good. That was good stuff. So I mean, probably for me, the biggest ones that stuck out was number 7 and number 8. Do not quit your job.
Right.
And do not get fired. I mean, the other things you can probably get around.
Right.
But if you have no job, there's no way around.
Oh,
it.
the deal is dead.
It's dead.
Right.
It's done. Unfortunately. So those were tips for the buyers, and now we have some tips for the sellers.
Yes.
7 tips on how to get top dollar for your home in this market. I get we get so many calls, and I interact with so many people on, everybody wants to maximize the amount of dollar that they can make on their home, which is fine. But there are certain steps that you must follow if you want to do that. The first step is you have to find a good real estate agent.
Yes.
Why that is? Because all the other things that I'm going to talk about will fall in line. You want to find an agent that is a full-time agent.
Please. Not part-time, working at Home Depot.
Home Depot. You call them at Home Depot, and you got clean up on aisle 7. I can't show you that house right now, but I tell you what, as soon as I get off, we'll go over there and show it.
Right.
Brother, I will be at the house already before you get there right and
Please.
So, can't be a part-time agent.
No.
Got to be full-time. And you want them to be aware of the areas that you are looking in.
Right.
Be knowledgeable about those areas.
Yes.
Because, LA is so large, but in Los Angeles, there are like micro communities. So, for instance, Culver City, Santa Monica, they may be adjacent to each other, but they are so different and so unique of each other that if you don't know those little nuances about Culver City or about Santa Monica, you could be literally putting your buyer in a trap.
Yeah, and plus you mentioned Santa Monica.
Oh, yes.
Santa Monica I've heard people tell me the real Santa Monica.
Right.
Santa Monica and the fake Santa Monica.
Right.
So you have to know the areas of that city.
Oh, yeah, the borders and all that stuff.
Right.
All that makes a difference. So that's the first thing. You want to find a great real estate agent. Number 2, pricing. Pricing. What you list your home at means everything. Most people want to list high and assume that, if I list it, I want 500. I want 490, but I'm going to list it at 500. So if they give me a low offer, they'll be giving me, it doesn't work that way.
No.
The reverse psychology does not work.
No.
You have to, and that's what it goes back to, having a good real estate agent so you know what type of market you're in. Example, you have a house, say you're listing a house in Culver City is probably one of the most competitive markets, I'd probably say, in all of Southern California. So you put a home in Culver City, and let's just say you place another home in the market in the Valley, San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
Which is a market that a little bit slower than Culver City.
Right.
So in Culver City, you can have an aggressive pricing strategy on your home. I'm not necessarily stating that you can overprice the property, but you can have an aggressive pricing strategy when you're pricing a property in Culver City. Whereas in the San Fernando Valley, certain parts, that is, you cannot have an aggressive pricing strategy, because there are several homes in the market in the San Fernando Valley, but there are not enough buyers. So the competition is much greater for a seller. Whereas on the flip side, in Culver City, there is little to no inventory, and when something comes on the market, it's gone.
Right.
I mean, me and my partner, we've been outbid by $200,000 on a house in Culver City, over $1 million.
Right.
People, just crazy.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
For the sellers out there that are thinking about to sell.
Thinking about selling.
So what'll work? A, price the house at market or slightly lower, or B, overprice the house.
It depends on the market. I will say this.
In Culver City.
Oh, in Culver City, I would still never overprice the house in Culver City, because number one, the agents are extremely savvy, and so are the buyers.
Exactly.
So you will not get a full price offer if you overprice it. It may work in reverse, where you may get a lower offer, which may be, which can still be significantly higher than what other homes, with the last home sold for in the area. But if you price it aggressively but still at a good price, you're going to create such. I'll give you an example. I have a client we placed an offer on a property in Culver City, and at the first open house, there were 120 buyers that came by.
Wow.
Right? That was week 1 of the open house.
Wait, is that the open house with the valet parking?
Yes. Valet parking.
Are you serious?
Valet parking at the this was the second open house.
Was there chicken strips?
Chicken strips. They valet parking.
I should have came.
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Lemonade stand on the corner.
That's not gluten free.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But yeah, it was valet parking.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty insane out there in this market. So
Wait, they had valet parkers parking cars.
Valet
Where?
park-
In
I
a
don't
parking
know.
structure?
No, I guess he just get in your car and drive up the street and find a parking space. There was no parking lot. So how that worked, I don't know. But yeah, it's that aggressive in Culver City and in some other markets in Los Angeles. The second thing is that I see this all the time. Me and my partner talk about this all the time. Knowing your home. And what does that mean? That means, so many people, you could have lived in your home 10 years. For the most part, sometimes there may be significant issues with the home that may not be aware to you.
Right.
For instance, you can have a slow leak or a pipe leaking underneath your house. But unless it is causing you any issues or problems at the time, you will never know, nor do you have any reason to check.
Right.
You could have damaged roofing on your home or damaged composition tile on your home, but you have no leak. Well, it doesn't rain. It never rains in Southern California.
Right.
As Tony said. But in saying that, since it doesn't rain, you would never know that, you probably have a bad roof or you need your roof changed.
Right.
So the next thing that you want to do is, depending on how, if you've kept up with your deferred maintenance on your home, then you will know these things. But if you have not kept up with the deferred maintenance on
Right.
your home, I would suggest having a home inspection. Yes, sellers can have a home inspection.
Right.
Reason why that is because when you put your property on the market, there are certain disclosures that you must make to the buyer. Well, some disclosures can be deal killers.
Right.
Foundation
Exactly.
is a huge mold.
Right.
Those are things that are, can be significant repairs and cost a significant amount of money.
Right.
Other things like plumbing and electrical and roofing, those are major as well, but they can be negotiated and fixed. But things like that, those are, you want to know about the major systems in your home.
Right.
So I would suggest getting a home inspection as a seller if you do not keep up with the deferred maintenance.
Correct.
So that's number 3. The next thing is you have to make your home available for showings. We had a client one time put their home on the market. They wanted to get top dollar for their property, and they weren't very lenient with their showing, meaning
Right.
that we couldn't show. We would garner all this interest, get all these buyers and agents calling to see the property, but we could never show it.
Was there a lockbox?
No, they didn't even want a lockbox.
Open houses?
Open houses there were a few.
One day a week.
One day, but it was a short window. It was like
Right.
a 2-minute. You step in, you step right out. Can't come
Right.
in. Stuff like that. Well, not really, but very short windows for an open house. So
Open house or showings?
both
Okay.
showings and open houses.
Okay.
I would show it maybe every other week or something like that, or every once a week.
So they didn't want to really sell.
They did, but I don't think they understood how important it was in terms of showing the property. They just
Right.
assumed that because the market was hot. This is last year. Market was hot.
Right.
People assume you put the property on the market, you show it one time, boom, it's sold. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes, that person may come back and see it a second or maybe even a third time.
Right.
Or maybe it may not be the first showing where you get the buyer. It could be the second or third showing.
And what was the purchase price of this property?
The purchase price on this property, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like $570.
So it was a higher end property, so it was a little less people that can qualify for that.
Well, what's interesting in Los Angeles, this great city we live in, that I see more interest in more borrowers and home buyers on the high end
Really?
than I do on a, low to moderate income.
So people have money here in Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh! And not only do they have money, they're throwing it around. Like I said, I've been outbid by $200,000 on a $1.1 million property.
That is crazy.
Crazy.
$200,000.
People are buying cash. Now, and,
Right.
and most people assume, oh, well, those must be investors. No.
These are regular people.
Regular buyers. Regular
Right.
Joe Schmoes.
Right.
Now,
You
they
would
may
never
not be,
know.
You're right. You would never know. They may drive a
Daihatsu?
Daihatsu, whatever. Yeah, those, they don't even make those no more.
I forgot.
Or a Nova, or 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 a Datsun or something like that, but you would never know they got $1 million cash in the bank.
Right.
So stuff like that, I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, you have to make your home available in this market in order to get it shown and in order to get it seen and in order to sell it.
So how long did it take you to sell that home?
It
To
took
get
us
it in escrow?
about 3.5 weeks.
Oh.
Now we had the thing was that we had an offer from the first showing that we did.
Okay.
However, this is another thing why you have to have a good agent. Sometimes there's a saying that goes, sometimes your first offer is your best offer.
Okay.
Right? Well, our first offer was our best offer.
Right.
However, you still want to create some sort of leverage with
The seller?
With the seller.
Right.
From the seller standpoint. So if you have additional showings, you can obtain another offer and create some leverage with the other buyer, counter that buyer and say, hey, offer, hey, can you offer this, or can you do this, or can you do that?
Right.
It's all a strategy. It's all a game. Got to know how to play the game.
So what city was this home in?
Brentwood.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this is Brentwood. Around the corner. As a matter of fact, it was around the corner from OJ.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm scared.
I'm scared. Yeah, I didn't walk the neighborhood at night. So
Okay,
just to let
good.
you know. Next thing is exposure. Well, you know what? Let me back up. Photos.
Okay.
It is so. I did an experiment. Not on purpose. It was by accident.
Okay. Those are the
I didn't-
best.
Yeah, right. It was an experiment. I had a listing. I put it on the market. I was pressed for time. It was a property that was probably going to be flipped, or first time buyer purchasing it. Took some quick pictures because I was, like I said, I was pressed for time. The house was not lived in; it was vacant. So so I took the pictures. I put it online, and I got a few calls and a few showings and stuff like that. But my partner said she is meticulous.
Right.
This lady, who we both know,
Right.
on taking pictures.
Right.
So I would always wonder, why is she so meticulous about taking these pictures? It's a flip. I mean, this house is an investment property or a first-time buyer. Who cares? You see a picture of the front of the house and a few pictures of the interior, and you're good to go, right?
Right.
Well, the offers that I was getting were fairly low.
Okay.
And I couldn't understand it. And I was wondering, why am I not generating the type of interest that I should be on this property in this hot market, right?
Right.
The reason was because my pictures did not tell the story of the home.
Okay.
Because for people, the first thing that they see are the pictures of the property.
Right.
So if you had two properties, two on the market, one with pictures, one with no pictures, the one with no pictures could be the most beautiful property on earth. You can have a phenomenal description, a fabulous description of the property. It can be priced outstanding, but you will get no offers and you will get no calls on that property if you have no pictures. With
Right.
little to no calls on it. So what I did was, after 3 weeks of it being on the market, I changed the price, right? So
Okay.
I reevaluated the situation. So I said, what did I do wrong here? So I went back and took the pictures like I normally do, and I actually increased the price of the property
Okay.
by I think it was by like $20,000 or something like that. I increased the price, and I put those pictures online. Within an hour of me putting the pictures online and increasing the price, my phone was blowing up. Got her off on the property the next day, put it in escrow, sold.
So people want to see pictures
People want to see pictures.
because they're online. I've noticed that when buyers are buying, they're on these websites looking at pictures like they're on Facebook.
Yes.
It's the same. Facebook and looking at real estate is the same thing.
They are looking at these pictures. They're sharing the pictures, sending them to their friends,
Right.
sending them to their significant others, wives and husbands, and getting their feedback on it. And since that's the first thing that you see, your first impression, those mean everything when you're looking at a property.
Right.
So from that standpoint, it is imperative that you have great pictures. Either A, your realtor must be trained or very good at taking pictures.
Right.
Or B, you need to hire a photographer who specializes in taking
Exactly.
photos of properties.
So, Mr. EJ, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
So we both work for companies that were dealing with the real estate downturn, loan modifications, short sales,
Right.
when the market was low.
Right.
That was about 5-6 years ago.
Got it.
Now here we are, 5-6 years. Fast forward. What is your opinion on, is this a buyer's market or a seller's market?
It's a seller's market.
It's a seller's market.
I mean, you can put a shack on the market and sell it.
Okay.
And I have a shack right now. Literally a shack, a burnt down shack that I will probably sell for $1 million this week.
Oh, where is that?
Culver City.
Oh my God.
That's my spot now.
Right. So what would you tell people who are thinking about selling, as far as we already went through a market change
Right.
back in 07, 08,
Right.
the market change. Now it's, 6, 7, 8 years later. Do you think the market will change? What do you think, if you were a seller, current owner, what
Right.
would you tell a current homeowner if they're thinking about selling? What's your opinion?
If you're thinking of selling, the first thing you need to do is evaluate your situation. Why are you selling? What is your why? Are you
Right.
selling because of your job is moving? Are you selling because this is the opportunity that you and your family want to take to move up and purchase another home? Are you selling for finance? I mean, there could be a multitude of reasons, but if your why is stronger than anything else, meaning
Right.
that it is a must that you must sell because there is a goal that you have to accomplish within the next couple of months, then there is no perfect time than to sell right now. It is probably the most perfect time to sell right now.
Right.
Because I can tell you, no one, and I mean no one, they may say that they know. If there is someone who tells you, oh, they know the interest rates are going to change at this time or the market is going to do this at this time, they're lying because they don't know.
Exactly.
What we do know
Right.
is what history tells us.
Right.
The market is cyclical. So
Exactly.
it will have its ups and downs. There will be another real estate downturn.
Yes.
When that happens, I don't know.
Right.
I do know this, though. Typically, when there is a change of administrations in terms
Right.
of presidents, the market changes.
Right. And I recently received some data from my hometown, Gardena,
Okay, Gardena, whoop, whoop.
90249, my hometown.
All right.
I recently got some stats on Gardena, like overall, like the 90249 zip code.
Right.
And I have a chart that's showing from 2010, the value is up to around 450. Now 90249 includes different areas of Gardena,
Right.
including my area, but the values are up the highest in the last 5 to 6 years. I have another chart showing the inventory is low,
Right.
and I have like 4 charts, but the charts show that now is the time to sell.
It is no better time. And I'm
Right.
not saying that just because, I'm saying that because there are, based upon what history tells us,
Right.
there are things that are primed to happen. I don't know when they will happen,
Right.
but they will happen.
We don't know.
We don't know when that will affect the way the market is reacting right now.
And for buyers, the rates are still, 4.5 or below, between 4% and 4.5, whatever.
Right.
So it's easier for a buyer to get in.
Right.
If you're a seller, it's easier for buyers to buy your property.
Right.
Now, sellers, what's your opinion to tell the sellers out there if the rates get to 5% and 6%? So, like, for an example, Gardena, 90249, average price $450. Right now, the rate's 4.5, 4%
Right.
in between that. But let's just say the rates get to 6%. What do you think will happen to that 450 average sale?
I don't think it's going to drop as significantly as it did before, but it will stagnate. It will level off.
Right.
So there will be some wiggle room in terms of negotiations on the price.
Right.
But I don't think it will happen, just in my opinion, like it did before, where we had
Right.
significant price decreases. I mean, like you said, at the peak, you would buy a home in Gardena for $500,000,
Right.
$450,000,
Right.
and then at the downturn, you can buy over there at $250,000,
That's true.
$275,000.
That's true. And see, what sellers have to realize is that right now, buyers see the low rates and they want to buy with that low rate.
Right.
So as we speak, there's low rates. As we speak, the values are high.
Right. I mean, timing is everything.
Right.
In this market. So I'll just reference someone. So I love the show. What is it called? Flipping Out with Jeff Lewis. Right.
Right.
So Jeff Lewis bought a house. He's an investor. He bought a house a few years ago, and he bought it to flip. Instead of flipping it, he lived in the home because the market started to downturn.
That's
right?
the house he lives in now, right?
House he lives in now, right?
Right.
Well, now he has placed that property on the market for sale, and I believe it is sold already. But it was all timing. He could have easily went ahead years ago and said, you know what, I'm just going to sell it, hurry up and sell it now and get my money. But he timed the market perfectly, stayed in the house, put the property on the market at the right time, and selling it, buying something else. So timing is everything, because for those sellers who want to sell and then move up, you too want to be a buyer at some point when you sell that property and want to take advantage of those low rates and all those programs. So it will behoove you not to put that property on the market and sell it as quickly as you can. The next thing I would say is probably the last tip is exposure. What is your realtor going to do to sell your home?
Right.
How are they going to expose your home to the market? Well, most realtors would say, well, I'm just going to put it on MLS, which is the multiple listing service.
Right.
Right? There are multiple websites that the property gets fed to automatically. I mean, realistically, they've kind of taken the marketing somewhat out of being an agent. You just put the property on the market. It goes to Zillow, Redfin, and all these other sites for free.
Right.
Right? Well, not for free technically, because we pay for the service that they use. So that happens. However, depending on what area you live in, if you live in a very competitive market, you may not need that much exposure.
Right.
If you live in an area like certain parts of the San Fernando Valley, which are a little bit slower in terms of movement of properties, then you want as much exposure as you can get, and you want to know, Mr. Agent, what are you going to do to sell my property?
So give me some examples of this exposure.
So, for instance, your realtor needs to be very well connected in terms of being in the industry.
Right.
Why do I say that? Because there are times where I've had a realtor call me who I'm familiar with and who I know, and I'm placing a property on the market, or I have one on the market that they may not have seen, but because they've called me or I've called them and we're just talking, I mention it to them. Oh, I have a buyer for that. Oh, I have somebody for that. Things like that.
Right.
So they need to be very well connected. Number two, they need to be able to market across all different platforms. I mean, you have social media now. You got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Exactly.
I mean, all these websites, you would want your realtor to probably have a website.
So you telling me that the realtor, you can't have a secret realtor?
You can't. No. You cannot be.
They can't be invisible.
They can't be an invisible realtor.
Right.
Somebody told me that one day, man. You can't be a secret realtor, man. What are you doing?
You can't be undercover.
Can't be undercover, right? You know what I mean? They need to walk around with their realtor tag on their chest, even though I don't. I don't do that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not into that. But yeah, exposure. Exposure is everything. If you and there are other things in there in between in terms of, like staging the home and things like that, and the appearance of the house.
On the next show, we have to talk about the decluttering.
Oh, yes.
And the staging.
I'm going to spend a whole.
Let's do it.
Yeah, a whole show on that, because that is key.
Right.
Once they've seen the pictures, well, in order to even see the pictures and have great pictures, and then once they get inside the home, I mean, it is almost imperative, like, that you declutter your home.
Please.
And what I mean, not only do you declutter, but you depersonalize it.
People don't want to see all that stuff.
They don't.
All that junk.
You can't have a picture, and I know that the picture may be nice, but you can't have a picture of you, Uncle Tommy, Uncle Sonny, and your family at the family reunion on a big picture on the wall at your house.
Right.
Can't happen.
Exactly.
When you're trying to sell your house. But yeah, we covered a lot of topics. You know, we went over the 19 things in terms of having a stress-free transaction
for a buyer,
tips for a home seller. So we covered a lot of stuff, but we will catch up on some other things next week. Check us out. You can check Cortez out at loansbycortez.com. You can reach me at ejhawkins.com as well as ejhawkinsre@gmail.com
and Cortez at loansbycortez.com.
That is right. But that wraps up our show for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Real Estate Reality Show. We will catch you next week. Thank you.
You're listening to the Real Estate Reality Show with EJ Hawkins and Cortez M. Johnson. Only on LA Talk Radio.